Hello and welcome to today's video. Hopefully there's not too much background wind. It's really windy today and I've got one of the garage doors open. I'll show you why I don't have the other one open here in a second. This should be the first of a few videos today that I'm going to put out. Going to try to get the high voltage system up and running on this. I'm going to test all the components individually before applying power to the whole vehicle. But one of the things I want to track down is what modifications were done to it at the university, and I think I've got it all figured out. I see what they were doing. One of the first things is I took all the fuses out of the power distribution box here. But one of the first things that they've done is they've took one of the fuse holders out. I should have some of these, so I should be able to replace that. This is, if you look back here, they've added these two wires, that red and black wire right here, these two, those are coming into here, and they've tapped off of a ground. They unwired the one in the back there and they came off of that one, and they're coming off of power is coming off of here, which goes back there. I'll show you where that goes here in a second. And it looks like they were using their own battery charger externally, which explains all of the random temperature sensors that are everywhere. They were also, where this goes back, they've added a current sensor here. This is the accessory power, essentially. That's the accessory disconnect. That provides power to all of the DC-DC converter, which is back here, and the power steering controller. If this had air conditioning, it would be over here. There'd be a mount right here where the air conditioning motor controller would go. So that provides the essentially accessory power. So they've added this little current sense down here. You can tell it's a current sense because it's got a little torite on it, ferrite core. So yeah, they've added all these little extra temperature sensors. I found 4 of them. There's one in the front box, 2 in the back box, and 1 in the cab. I actually found the original temperature sensors. They've been cut off, and I don't know where the wires are that they used to plug into. They're gone, or they might be. There's a lot of wiring zip tied underneath the vehicle. A lot of wiring. So I'm suspecting that they're probably in there somewhere, and they should be routed in one of these holes here in the box. One of those guys, but they're missing. Yeah, I think that's all the mods that were done up here. So you can move around over to this side, to the back. So they've added these hold downs. They've drilled holes through the battery box here, so we're gonna have to take all that out. So I guess one of the first things is they were powering it with this giant cable that they've made. So they were powering both drives, so they weren't using the internal wiring of the truck. So what they did is we've got this one, this connector still exists for power. This goes over to the driver's side motor controller. There should be another one coming out here that goes to the passenger side motor controller, and I found it. It's right here. Woohoo, we have it, but somebody cut the negative line on it, so we're gonna have to repair that. However, I found the cable in the box of cables. So we've got it. They obviously cut it off to do something and then changed their mind. But we do have the original cable. That ran from this corner all the way back to that front battery box to hit the negative side where the current goes through the current shunt. So yeah, we'll have to get that back in there so we can power the drive, both drives. Let's see what else. Another difference. I don't think. Well, I'll go onto the other side here and I'll show you this, but I don't think this motor, the far motor back there, is original. This one's original. If you look at this is the 3-phase cable coming from it. See the nice blue, red, and white striped black wires? That matches these this style wire here. So we know that those are vintage, those are the same year. It also, this motor controller has 2-gauge cable or 4-gauge cable in it. This is all 4-gauge, and this is 4-gauge. So this all seems to jive. So this is original. Let me flip around the other side here. Oh, I forgot to show you. The reason I don't have the other garage door open is it's too tall. With the bed open, you can see the garage door would collide with it. So if the garage door is up, I can't open the bed. So keep that in mind if you're going to own an E10 and you want to have your garage door open. So I'll flip over to this side. So the reason I think that this motor is not original, it has 2-gauge cable coming out of it. It also doesn't have the striped, it's just black cable. It's not striped to the power connector. However, and it also doesn't have, oh, if I look over here, so this one's got a shielded, externally shielded cable for the encoder. That's this running back through here. And if you look at this one, it's internally shielded. So that's another difference. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this motor might have been replaced. Now, given how rusted the connectors are, I'm going to guess it was replaced very early on. I don't think, I think they're really similar in age. I know my truck has this style with the 2-gauge cable coming out, so the 4-gauge. The other difference is this drive is not the original drive either. Its power cable coming in is also 2-gauge, whereas that other one is 4-gauge. So you can see the output is 4-gauge cable though. Let's see what else they've done. This brake, this is for the regen brakes. When it comes on, it triggers a relay that acts like you pushing the brake. That's been cut off, and it might be cut off just because there should be connectors on here, but it looks like they just got pulled off, or somebody probably forgot it was hooked up and yoinked the whole drive out with it. Yeah, I already mentioned the holes that they put in here. We're going to have to take all these battery hold downs out. And speaking of the holes there, the owner wants the battery box heaters installed because it's going to Canada. The front battery box heater looks like it's going to work. I ohmed it out. It's got all the wires hooked up to it. It looks good. And I have one temperature control box. So I think we're good there for the front one. The back heater box, not so much. It's lost some of the wiring. It's also got a big cut in it. A big gash. So that one probably doesn't work. But I think we're going to be okay. I have a rear battery box heater from another Solectria E10 that I purchased in about like 6 years ago for parts. It's wrecked. It was really bad, in really bad shape. So I should be able to, and I believe I've got one of these boxes as well. So I think we'll be in good shape there. Oh yeah, I guess the last difference thing is, you know, all those extra temperature probes, and if you look back here, there's a voltage sense, and you got another little current probe over here. This is going to the battery chargers. Since they weren't using these battery chargers, they were using some other battery charger external. I was reading all those temperature sensors. I was trying to figure out, well, where does all that go? And it turns out I've traced the wiring back to underneath here. Hidden here is another temperature sensor, ambient temperature sensor, it looks like. And if we pull that out, we get a little board, a little hookup board here. I don't have the data acquisition computer. It obviously connected onto this right here, but I got all the wiring. So this is all added. So it makes it kind of easy, because then I can actually track down all of this. You got to ask the owner if they want all this removed. I might actually have to remove it anyway to fit some of the wires through, some of the grommets, because there's not going to be enough room. So I have to see what they say, what they want to do about that. And Other than that, it also taps off. That's why this wasn't, I was in a previous video, I was wondering why this wasn't attached. That's because they've tapped off a bunch of different places in there to get some information. Probably tapping off the voltage and current output, maybe even the amp hour counter for their data acquisition system. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure all that out and then remove what's no longer necessary. But yeah, that's it for this video. I think what I'm gonna do is grab my truck and pull it up here into the other bay, and let me show you how windy it is out here. It's pretty windy. But yeah, I'll go ahead and bring my truck in. See? And I think I'll just make a little jumper cable to just take power from my truck over here, and then we'll hook it up to the these connectors to verify that the DC to DC converter is working and the power steering's working and everything, and then yeah, I think that's the plan anyways. Well, this ended up being a really long video, but thanks for watching. Bye.